20 at 1:39 p.m.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trade Talks Live. I am Roger Wakefield. We try to do this each and every week, and those of y'all that don't know, I've actually been traveling out of town. Actually, we've both been traveling out of town a lot, but I'm in Las Vegas today. I'm sitting at the airport getting ready to head back home, and this is something that, man, we try to do quite often, but with our traveling lately, we haven't done a whole lot of it. So what I want to do is just welcome you back to the Trade Talks Live. This is the weekly show, and today's episode is one that hits close to the bone for a lot of people in the trades. We're not here to hype anything up. We're here to talk about the stuff that actually determines whether a company survives, whether crews stay safe, and whether leaders sleep at night. Now, if you're the owner, if you're a foreman, or someone who's been carrying responsibility longer than you plan to, today's show's for you. This is about pressure. It's about decision making. And it's about risk, money, fatigue, communication, and leadership. The things that don't show up in marketing posts, but show up every single day on the job site. And as you see, I am not here alone. Square, how are you doing in Dallas?
And I'm doing pretty good. Been home with the sick dog, which is actually getting a lot better. He's full of energy now, just trying to bug everybody in this office. But it's been a good
when
week.
He's down, everybody's down.
That's it. Like he was doing pretty rough. Hate to miss out on the show. Wanted to be at AHR, kind of check things out, see the people out there get cruising around. Didn't get to,
a lot of people
though.
asked about you.
Yeah, but didn't get to make it. It's all right, though. Was here holding down the fort. Got to do some LeakPro builds and stuff. Have a lot of trainings coming up, so it's going to be pretty busy. But definitely good stuff.
This episode is built for people who have to make calls when there isn't a perfect answer. And if y'all have a hard time hearing me, just put a message in the comments and let me know. Can you hear me okay, Squirt?
When they're on the PA, it's tough.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and talk about
I was going to say, you mute real quick. So, guys, this episode it's built for people who have to make calls when there isn't a perfect answer, okay? People that don't get to pause the job site while they think about things. People that are expected to know even when you're still figuring it out. And we've all been there. But chat matters today a lot, okay? If this stuff looks different in different states, different trades, different company sizes, throw it in the chat. Tell us the differences that y'all see in your areas. We want to discuss it. But what's true for a 5-truck shop isn't always true for a 50-truck operation. What works in Texas doesn't always work in the Northeast or the Midwest. If you're living this, say it, okay? This show gets better when you bring real experience into the room. Of it. But today's through line, it's super simple. Pressure exposes system. Okay, when work tightens, when schedules compress, when money gets tighter and crews get tired, whatever you've been ignoring shows up fast. And we're going to walk through that piece by piece today. And let's start with what's happening nationally, guys. Okay, we're going to start off in the national news where construction backlogs shrink while the risks are increasing. And there's a headline that's been floating around that's making a lot of people nervous. Construction backlogs are shrinking in certain sectors. But on the surface, that sounds like work slowing down. It's not. The reality is way more complicated and more dangerous than that. Okay, backlog numbers, they don't tell you how healthy that work is. They tell you how much work is actually on the books. But what they don't tell you is how risky that work has become. Okay.
Squirt right there. And that's one thing that, look, I talk to a lot of business owners, and, they're always happy that they got work on the books. But, me and you've talked about that before as an estimator. When they tell you, hey, look, you got this multi-million-dollar job, first of all, you're like, great. And then you're like, oh no, how did we get it? Because you don't bid them to be the cheapest person. So just because you got work on the books doesn't mean you're doing good or making money. So this is really something important to a lot of people.
That's it. And, it's like we talk about it a lot across all your channels. All work isn't good work. There's some work that's right and some that's wrong, some that's higher risk and it's going to take more people, more time, more extensive. The backlog doesn't declare what types of jobs they are. They're only going, yeah, we've got 2 years of work on this job. Okay, well, how many men is that at which part of the job? What's the manpower looking? But this is going on across the country, guys. And we're seeing it's not work disappearing over. We're seeing owners taking on tighter jobs, jobs with thinner margins, jobs with more aggressive schedules. And that's every jobs where risk get pushed downstream to the trades. Guess what? Oh, they'll figure it out. We hear that one a lot. Oh, they'll handle it in the field. Well, guess what? That means more time spent in the field trying to deal with the issues that should be done on pre-planning side.
And Randy, the funny thing about this too is the private developers, they're starting to be more careful with their money, a lot more cautious. And that means fewer speculative projects and more scrutiny on cost and schedule. They're trying to tighten down the dollars. They're trying to tighten down the schedule and get it done faster. Now, public money's still flowing, but it comes with a lot of strings. You've got compliance, you've got reporting, you've got rigid timelines. And these timelines don't flex. When it's a public project, it's a big deal. So that doesn't flex easily when the reality hits. And maybe it's weather. And you say, well, we have no control of that. And you're like, well, we don't either, but we've still got to meet this deadline. So when backlogs shrink, pressure increases, and crews get pushed harder over time, and overtime becomes normal. Corners get tempted. You want to take shortcuts, and safety margins get thinner, even if nobody admits it out loud.
There's also a psychological trap here. Because when workers feel less certain, leaders tend to say yes to things that they normally wouldn't. You know, we talk about it like stick with your specialty. Don't offer those extra things. Just, oh, well, I ain't got enough work. Well, I'll just have my guys do that. If you're not the professional in that, don't do it. Okay. Don't pick on that extra just to try to keep the guys busy if that's not what they really do. Sign some worse contract terms or the payouts extended out further or something like that. Hold tight to your terms that you always do. Don't give in. Faster schedules. Okay. Guess what? You can handle those if you have enough people to throw at it and fit into that spot. If you can't quickly get more people, a faster scheduled job's probably not the right answer to save the day, because you have to be able to man it and maintain that schedule. It's risk that they'd usually price differently, and they're like, yeah, we've got it in, no big deal. That's where companies really get hurt.
They do, Randy. And the thing is, look, busy does not mean healthy. You know, I ask entrepreneurs that all the time. Are you busy or are you productive? Because there's a big difference. Now, a full calendar with bad jobs is worse than a lighter calendar with good jobs where you're making money. And right now, a lot of contractors are mistaking activity for stability. They think, look, as long as I'm keeping everybody busy, we're doing good. And that's not always the case. And sometimes the smart move in this environment is just not to panic. It's to be very clear about every job you take on, why you take it on. Are you taking it on because you want to keep your guys busy, or are you taking it on because you want to make money?
Yeah. And then understanding which jobs actually support the business and which ones are actually draining you. Okay. If you're having to throw a bunch of guys to try to get this schedule done, guess what? They're not on the other jobs you already have. Okay. And that theme, it could come up again today, because shrinking backlogs don't kill companies. Bad decisions under pressure do. Don't just throw a lot of jobs on the book, except ones that aren't your normal jobs. We kind of had our sweet spot when I worked at a large company. It's like, look, our backlog's full right now, but if the job's in this range, we know that we do great on those jobs. We're still going to bid some of those. We were in the union, so it's like, look, we can get some more guys to do it. And it's like, yeah, but who are you going to have run it? Because that's going to be an issue if we don't stay aware of it. And you've got to think things all the way through and don't overcommit. And that's one thing that, typically happens a lot when you're trying to please everybody and just keep all the guys. So it's a tough spot to be in. Be smart.
Randy, and I'm going to ask you, because you've been at a bigger company, and I know that when you've got a lot of men, they're constantly pushing to stay busy. Do you ever take jobs just for productivity to keep your men busy?
Not really. Luckily, we kept our backlogs pretty healthy though, to where we knew we weren't going to lose the core guys. Now, being in the trades, I was a pipe fitter, worked with the welders and stuff. Guess what? We're the first ones to get laid off on a job, first ones that they want to bring on the next one. It's a part of the cycle. A lot of the welders didn't understand that. And it's like, good, you're a tool in the bucket. But guess what? Another job, another company, maybe whatever, they need you. You're a tool that they love to have out there. So don't be worried about it. It's a part of it. So we wanted to keep some guys. So like we always talked about those core jobs where it's like, look, we've got this big one. If this gets too slow, we've got somewhere to send those guys to hold them over temporarily. And they'll just be a worker on that job, not the brains and stuff, which I've seen some big superintendents on their tools just installing like any normal journeyman on a job. They're like, no, I'm waiting for my job. It's going to come in 3 weeks. I'm just here being a hand, and I'm going to make the best hand. Nobody's got to tell me what to do. I've got it. So you've got to play that smart sometimes.
You know, Randy, and I like that because, I mean, I've done that. I've been a superintendent. I've told you before about him going out and working on James Stuckey's job. It seems like every time I talk, they do too. But I've also been that superintendent that's had other superintendents on my job. And I loved it because I'd put them on a task that I knew they could do, and just you don't have to worry about it.
That's it. And it matters. And, you know, that feeds right into the next one we'll talk about. And that's your bottom line. Cash flow problem. They don't start in accounting. Okay. Just like you're saying, you know, did you just throw something to keep the guys busy? We tried to avoid that at all cost because don't want bad jobs, just like we talked earlier. But one of the biggest myths in construction is that cash flow problems, it's in the accounting department. They're not. Accounting, it shows you the damage after it's been done. Okay. Cash flow problems, they start in your operation. A lot of our project managers, that was part of our bonus structure, was cash flow of the company staying above whatever threshold those jobs needed.
Yeah.
And they tracked it very close. But across the United States, profitable companies, they run out of cash every year. Not because they don't know how to invoice, but because of timing. Work gets done today, payroll hits this week. Materials get paid for immediately. But the money, it comes later. Sometimes much later. Like earlier I said, if you do some of the bad payment terms where, oh, we normally do 90 days. Yeah, we'll give you 180. That's an extra 3 months they have to pay you. Can you float the company that long? You have to think things all the way through.
And really, Randy, what a lot of people don't understand is when you're doing that, you're basically financing this job for the general contractor. You're paying for the labor. You're paying for the materials. You're paying for insurance. You're paying for anything and everything up front and saying, hey, look, we know we're going to make money on it, or we hope we're going to make money on it. We'll let you pay us 6 months from now. That is crazy. I mean, 30 days, 60 days at the most. If it's a GC you've worked with in the past and you can extend 90 days, that's fine. I mean, anything over the 90, you're paying for the freaking job.
That's it. Like I had an operator on an expansion one time. He was his own company. They hired him as such. Well, he signed a contract. He didn't read the fine print. It was actually 180 days on the payout. He was used to 90. Luckily, we had a cool project manager on the job and superintendents, and we were like, look, we're going to help you out. Here's what we can do to help you to get you where you got to be so that you get your first payment, but always read the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
Retainage alone can cripple small and mid-sized contracts. If we didn't save that guy's butt, guess what? He was going to have to close the door.
Oh, yeah.
5 or 10% withheld on multiple jobs adds up fast, especially when payroll and fuel, they don't wait. Got to have it now to get the jobs in. Change orders, they make it worse. Okay. Work gets done out of sequence. Approval gets delayed. Invoicing lags. And that lags behind the reality of everything. Then there's field decision making. Okay. Crews make choices to keep things moving without understanding how those choices affect the cost. The few extra offsets that you made, no big deal. Every one of those is time and labor that weren't in the estimate and bid. You will see that later. Extra labor hours, additional materials, unplanned rentals. You need something that wasn't part of your bid to access something. That's a big charge, and it's going to take a hit on the job. Individually, they all seem small, but collectively, guys, they blew a lot of cash on the job. The dangerous part is that none of this shows up immediately. You don't see it till you start tracking the job a little longer. Then financial statements, they lag that reality. By the time owners see the problem clearly, they're already reacting instead of steering. And if you're just reacting, you're trying to hurry up and put out a bunch of fires all the time, and that's all you ever get to do. Don't get to plan the work. Plan. Got to stay ahead. You did. It won't let me unmute you.
I don't know how many times I got to hit it.
There you go.
But the contractors that survive tight schedules are the ones that understand that the cash flow is the operational discipline. You have to create cash flow. You've got to keep it coming in. And that's why, and we've talked about this before, when you got a big job, you need to put a lot of money in mobilization and demobilization. And you want to get that, you want to get as many mobilization dollars up front as you can, because that gives you operating capital. And it's about the job sequence, because you've got to understand when most of your work is going to happen, when most of your men is going to happen. And if there's any way, whether it's through mobilization, whether it's through, billing for materials, whatever it is, if there's any way to get as much of that cost up front billed, so then when you are heavy on labor, it's not just killing you because you've already billed for a lot of it. But you've got to understand the billing cadence. It's about setting expectations with the customers early instead of fighting with them later. Most of them, they want you to do well. So when you explain to them, hey, look, when we mobilize, we're gonna order all these materials. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna have a bunch of men out here staging it. We're gonna have a bunch of men doing this, and I need to bill a lot for my mobilization to make sure we've got everything we need. Because right after that happens, we're gonna have to onboard 40 men or 50 men, and that's a $50,000 to $100,000 a week project that just it keeps adding up. So we really need to get a little ahead on this if we can. And believe it or not, most general contractors, they've worked with you before. They've seen how you work. They know how you work. They're like, hey, you know what? We have no problem with that. But the thing is, you don't fix cash flow with spreadsheets alone. Okay? You fix them by aligning field behavior with financial reality. But the thing is, you've got to understand what the reality is and how to work with it. And Randy, you've probably got more experience with this than I do, because of the estimating end of it. I always looked at it from the superintendent role, but I had a project manager looking out for my back to make sure that we had as much mobilization, onboarding, anything that we could do up front. Man, we did.
That's it. Because if you really look at manpower curve across a job site, it's always up and then right back down. And every single time it goes up and then it comes right back down, because the meat's all in the middle. You have fewer men at the very beginning and fewer men at the very end working on these jobs. It's all in the middle. And that's when the cost really get pulled from a job quick, because everything's done then. But that's where you do payment milestones based on when rough's done, this is done. Whichever trade you're in faces different milestones for you, so that you get your payments on time and on time, so you can keep the doors open.
I'm going to jump into the comments real quick. Got Mr. Eduardo Molina in the house. Brother, good to see you in here. Hope you've been doing well.
Yeah.
Great seeing you in here as always. And then Adrian R. 909 says, amazing. But we get to do some pretty cool stuff. We love it. We have fun. We've kind of had a crazy schedule. It's not going to end because we're going to be in Indianapolis in 2 weeks. But, last time we were in Indianapolis, we were able to broadcast live from there. So we might be able to do that again, hopefully anyway. I don't even know what our schedule is when we fly in, when we fly out.
Oh,
But
we'll be in Indy for sure.
we'll be in Indy on that Wednesday.
Yeah, we fly in Monday, Friday. So
good. Well, guys, look, man, it's great seeing y'all in here as always. I hope everything's going well. And Randy's safety and fatigue is one of the biggest problems, and it's the most ignored risk that most people don't think about, especially when we were talking about a while ago about having to work overtime. And that's when people really start getting more and more fatigued.
yeah, because most people, they think safety, it's, equipment, PPE, procedures. They don't ever think about, and what causes more incidents than most people want to admit? Your guys being wore out. And guess what? When they're wore out, they're not 100% mentally there. Okay? And fatigue, it's not just being tired. Okay? It's cognitive slowdown. Delayed reaction time. That's one of the biggest things that I've seen and learned. Whenever you start to feel like you're wore out, your reaction time drops in half or just about quick. Poor judgment. Okay? It also makes you take risk that you wouldn't normally take because your brain is running on fumes. It's just trying to get the job done. Oh, let's get this day done. Man, we're 14 hours in, guys. There's just a few more things to do. Let's just keep going. Oh, yeah, we'll take every shortcut we can right now. Let's get out of here. No. Okay, and across the country, fatigue shows up the same way. Long hours, short crews, overtime becoming standard instead of occasional. People pushing through because job has to get done. I've been in shutdowns, and guess what? Like, I usually try to finish early so that we can help save the day for everybody else that did screw up. Owners and stuff loved us for that. Like, dude, like, y'all come in, y'all work, like, y'all are serious. We don't get around. We want to do everything proper and safe all the way through. We don't take shortcuts. They had us stay extra, and I had to walk a lift across, and we had a spotter and all this. And they're like, really, you're going to do that? Nothing's moving. Nothing's going on. Look, we don't give on safety just because it's shut down and you don't have workers here. No, our protocol is do this. That's what we're going to do no matter what. Near misses are the biggest warning sign. And they're almost always ignored. Talk about it a lot, guys. Near misses, 100 of those, that leads to an accident, period. 100 or 10. I don't remember. I'd have to look that up again. It's been a while. But I will study that one. But somebody trips, they don't fall. Okay. Tool slips, but it doesn't cause an injury. Man, we dropped it. Luckily, it didn't hit anybody. Man, and it becomes a joke instead of a lesson. It's not.
Randy, you talk about stuff like that. I was with Klein Tools yesterday, and they've got one of the neatest things that I've seen. You know how inside of a plumbing van, they've got the walls now where you can hang the pack outs and stuff on them, and cabinets and shelves and all that. Randy Klein has built this deal that goes on a scissor lift where all your tools basically attach to it. I'm telling you what, I was looking at this thing and I was like, dude, this is phenomenal.
I had some sheet metal workers that would make little trays and stuff that you could hook in there so that you actually had a spot to put your tools safely.
And I love this because when we are trying to work overtime, when we're trying to do too much, fatigue compounds. And one long week bleeds into another, your decision quality goes down. And your communication, it starts getting sloppy. You're just like, yeah, y'all just go ahead and do it. I know you know what you're doing. No, you got to treat every day like this is the first time they've ever been near that hole in the floor, and you got to protect everybody. But then what happens is when little accidents happen, like a trip that doesn't become a fall, or somebody drops a tool and almost hits somebody, something like that, well, then your tempers start getting short. People start getting mad at each other. They start getting really pissed at each other. And then when an incident finally does happen, man, everybody's surprised that it happened. And it's because they're not paying attention. They're not seeing what's going on. But the financial cost of fatigue is huge. Injuries happen more, claims happen more, you lose productivity. And Randy, I've done a study before, and it's been a long time, but I mean, when you've got men working 12-hour days, like the first week or two, you do get more production. But after the first week or two, it starts dropping down to where eventually you're getting less production than you would at 40 hours a week because people get exhausted. But the cultural cost, that's the worst part. Because when people feel exhausted and they feel that this is the price of belonging, I have to be here because my teammates are here, eventually they get tired and they go somewhere else. Most people do not want to work overtime to make a living. They want to make enough in 40 hours to make a living. And then leaders cannot eliminate fatigue entirely. Construction is demanding. It wears and tears on us, wears and tears on our body, it wears and tears on our mind. You can stop normalizing it. You stop making it like, hey guys, look, it is what it is. We work 70 hours a week every week. You got to learn to watch your schedules, rotate the workloads, treat rest as if it's safety. Okay? Treat it like it's a tool that you have to use each and every day. It's not a luxury. And ignoring fatigue doesn't make you tough. It kind of wears you out and makes you reckless.
That's it. I like the rotating shifts. Like we did that out at the water park. Guys worked a rotating 4-10s. Have a 2-day weekend and then a 4-day weekend. They loved coming in after that 4-day weekend, talking about, oh my gosh, I had the best trip. I did something great. Da, da, da. But they had a fresh, sharp mind, and it really does help. Like 3 months, I'm tapped out. I need a week off to not think about anything so that I can recharge my battery. But moving on in here to new construction. Okay. Design build versus design bid. Okay. This is a build reality. Delivery method matters more to trades than people admit. Design build and design build aren't just paperwork differences. They change who carries the risk. In a design build, trades are often handed completed plans and told make them work. Design decisions, they're locked in. Changes cost time and money. When conflicts show up, the field absorbs all that pain. Design build shifts some of that responsibility earlier, but it also shifts expectations. Trades are often expected to help solve design problems without being compensated for the thinking involved. That's a big part of a lot of these. But coordination becomes part of the job, whether it was priced that way or not. Okay. And the danger is assuming one model automatic. Both can actually work. Both can actually fail. What matters is whether risk is acknowledged and priced honestly or not. A lot of our design builds is a pricier job. Why? Because a lot of extra man hours get spent on that front end helping the designers come up with what's actually going to get built. Across the country, trades get squeezed when schedules compress and coordination expectations aren't clearly defined. The earlier the delivery model pulls trades in, the more important it becomes to protect the scope, clarify the responsibility, who has it, who's doing which parts, and document all the decisions made of handling. If you don't understand how the project delivery method affects your risk, you're agreeing to terms that you don't fully see. And you do not want to do that. I've been on some jobs where we were design build and they wanted a ballpark estimate of a project. Well, I went through and based it on my typical norms, and I added a lot of isolation valves and things throughout all their systems and stuff, and ended up turning my price. And they called like really quick, going, "Why is your price so high? Everybody else is just like half. But we know that you know what you're doing. What happened?" I said, "Oh, well, I was looking through this, but I also noticed that you didn't have isolation valves for everything, and da 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 da. So the way I see it is you're probably going to need this many more valves. Just look at the valve counts across all the bids. And I bet that's where it is." And they're like, "Holy crap, we're going to have to rethink this job because you're absolutely right. We are going to have all those valves and stuff, and nobody caught that but y'all. Look, I try to think everything all the way through. But if it was design, bid, build, it'd be locked in on what they said, and that's it. And it's like, okay, well, y'all don't get isolation valves. Nope, you didn't say anything. Sorry. So you've got to catch it. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, and at that point, Randy, they're not happy.
No.
Because they know they need it. They know that either you should have caught it in the beginning or they should have caught it in the beginning. Nobody caught it. Now they're like, wait, what do you mean we have no way of isolation?
Yeah, they kind of freaked out when they're like, well, how did you do this? I said, well, actually, I looked at where the equipment would actually be in the building layout that you gave me, and I kind of did a takeoff based on that of actual piping routes that would work. And they're like, oh, crap, like, you really did it. And it's like, yeah, I used to run jobs. I'm sorry. Like, I don't just throw something at it and go, oh, yeah, here's what we budgeted. No, I did a real takeoff. Since you gave me the building layout and I kind of knew where the equipment was going to be and what rooms, I actually laid it out. Oh, that's why your footage is there. Yes, here you go. Here's everything I found. Here's why it's where it's at. Like, ooh, you really put some thought to this. And I'm just like, yeah, y'all didn't. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, but normally you don't tell them that way.
No, not at all. And I didn't at all. I just said, here's
I
the riser links that I assumed, because I've had that one a lot where the GC's like, oh, we carried 5-foot risers. Is that really going to get you from this elevation down to here? And they're like, no, it's not. It's, okay, good. Take a look at that and then get back with me. See if my footage is a little better in line with what you've got. And they're always happy to catch those on the front.
And the reason biggest part, I mean, think about it. If you've got 100 risers and each one's 5 foot short, there's 500 feet of pipe that a lot of people may not have accounted for. But Randy, what most people don't think about, it's not just the footage of the pipe. It's the labor that you installed on each foot of pipe to install it that also didn't get included.
Also, was it insulated? And how special is that insulation? Is it jacketed? Is it so many things? That runs so many.
Is it painted? Is it labeled?
Exactly. It's like, it doesn't just affect me, it affects all my subcontractors under me too, to get that completed system installed.
And when you're giving out a price per foot and you're talking to your subs, at that point, you're just telling them, look, we got 10,000 feet of pipe. They base everything on 10,000 feet of pipe, including the labor and the materials. But now if you've got to come back and tell them, hey, there's another 500 feet of pipe here that nobody caught. That stuff adds up really quick.
That's it. Super quick. And like, I lucked out. A lot of my insulators, they figured out, dude, I'm just going off of your footage. I said, yeah, you can. I said, I'll send you my takeoff sheet so you know about how many fittings and flanges and stuff I have too, just so that y'all know. Right now, we love working with you. We know how thorough you are. It's like, that's great. Occasionally, I want y'all to check me, though. They're like, no, you just tell us which jobs, and we double check everything for you. And it worked out well.
Pretty neat stuff. All right, we can roll into mindset growth and why good tradespeople burn out. And this is always a big one to me. Let me find out where I just put that. All right, Randy, I'll let you start off with this one.
Burnout's not a weakness, guys. Okay, it's a systems failure. Okay, the people who burn out first, they're rarely the lazy ones. Okay, they're the dependable ones, the ones who always say yes, the ones who fix problems, and the ones that everybody leans on. But over time, that pressure adds up, and it accumulates, guys. Pride keeps people from speaking up. Responsibility, it can keep them from stepping back. But eventually, stress becomes chronic instead of situational. And it really does. Like, I've had some jobs with the same stress, I feel like. Some I've gotten burnout on, some I didn't. But burnout shows up before people quit. You start to get it, start to feel it. You get super irritable. You kind of detach yourself from the job. And
Randy, do you ever get super irritable on a job?
Oh, not at all. Never. Of course. You keep me on a job too long and I get super irritable. It doesn't matter what's going on. Okay, the wind blew the wrong direction and I'm raising hell about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I've already checked out of that job. But this can lead to mistakes, the loss of patience. Okay. Owners often miss it because the work still gets done until it doesn't. Main person everybody leaned on just left in the middle of lunch, never came back. He got burnt out. Weren't dealing with it. Guess what? Finally, he went for an interview and he's got a new job. Sustainable.
And he's happy now.
And he's happy now. That's it. That reset. Oh man, you want to talk about a mind clear. Woo. But sustainable companies don't rely on the they rely on systems. They spread the responsibility and recognize that mental load, it's real work. Even if it doesn't show up on that timesheet. Like, feel like you did it too. A lot of superintendents I know, guess what? We were all on the job half an hour early to an hour early.
Every day.
Most of us weren't getting paid for that. That wasn't overtime pay on our checks. Some would charge it. No. That's me doing my job. But if your best people are always carrying the most weight, you don't have a motivation. You got to design system starting. You've got to think about that. Who carries the workload? Who do you have most stressed out all the time? Try to free up some of that. Give them some help and some support. It really does help. Make them take a vacation. That's a good reset sometimes because they feel like they can't. And sometimes it just really needs to happen. So you got to figure out what to do to actually make it happen.
Let me ask you something, because we're talking about taking a vacation. And I know when people see me out of town for 3 days like this, I'm at AHR. They're like, "Oh, Roger's just in Vegas playing." We've been in Cancun this year. We've been on a cruise this year. We were in Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, La Paz, and Cabo. And now I'm in Vegas. Have I had a vacation this year?
No.
It's work, isn't it?
Like the first Mexico trip, we did plan a day before and after to kind of. But guess what, guys? We don't stop working.
Yeah,
even
we're there talking about work.
It's talking about work, trying to keep everything moving, things going. No, we don't get vacation, but we run a lot of things. We do a lot of things. We host a lot of things, do a lot of shows, and we're out learning and studying to make us better all the time. So it does.
I was just asking because I know people always tell me, they're like, "Dude, you got it made. You just take vacations all the time." It's like you want to slap somebody because it's like this is not a freaking vacation. I mean, since I've been in Vegas, I worked all day Sunday, was at the show all day Monday and Tuesday, and got up this morning and worked. And I'm literally trying to get back to the show. And I'm like, man, if I go to the show, I can only stay for an hour before I got to come back and grab my bags and then go here and then do this. And I'm like, you know what? There's no way to get it all in. And now, I got to the airport 3.5 to 4 hours before my flight so I could do this. And it is nonstop. But I know people are always like, every time they see me, they're like, "Dude, you're just traveling around the world. You're just having a blast, ain't you?"
It's just time for a protein shake.
Boy, isn't that the truth? I'm ready for one. And the bad thing is I don't think I'll make it home in time tonight to get one.
No, probably not.
I've got a very special place I go for my protein shakes, y'all.
Right.
Randy,
look here.
Look here. And I want to jump in the comments real quick. I got Matthew McDonough here, says, "Mr. Miyagi, a plumbing and Viking leak whisperer. Sorry I didn't get a chance to see you this week. Go LeakPro and Roger Wakefield Plumbing Education." So, guys, this is how big the show is. There were 50,000 people here. And Matt and I were here 2 days together, and he ended up having to leave to go take care of his mom one day, and it was probably the only day I could have squeezed it in. And I knew he wasn't going back today, but we'll get to see him again. The good thing is me and Randy do try to come to Vegas quite often. They make great protein shakes down here too. And, we try to get down here for some special hot sauce. I mean, a lot of different things. But even when we come, we are working. So it's neat. But, it's neat to know that you've got 50,000 people showing up at a trade show learning about the industry. And I think it's phenomenal. Just call me Abe. And I read this a while ago, and I've been thinking about it. So Randy, I'm going to ask you first your thoughts on this. But he says, hello. He says, I'm 22 years old, just starting in the trucking industry. I plan on buying my own truck to become an owner-operator. Now, Randy, you know a lot about that. Do you think this is the right move, or should I purchase some property first? Randy, when you hear somebody say they're talking about getting into the trucking industry as an owner-operator right now, what do you think about that?
Well, automation is coming a long way fast.
That's where my mind went immediately. Yep.
I know we could be a decade out of trucks just automatically running from east to the west coast.
And it could be 6 months out.
I was going to say, but it could be as soon as 6 months. We don't know. I'm not super involved in rigs, but there's autonomous vehicles driving people around and Ubering them. Now, they're not great. You're muted.
Randy, I pulled up to New York last night for dinner with PHCC. They've got this new thing called an OXO or something. It's like a little cube vehicle.
Yep.
There were 5 of them right in front of the door where my guy pulled up to drop me off. And he's like, I can't believe they let these things in here like this, because they're in there picking up, not just dropping off.
Yep.
And they don't let Uber do that. So it's interesting. But man, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, you know what? Automation is fixing to shut down taxis, Uber, Lyft. It's going to shut down all of it. But I think it's going to shut down the trucking industry too.
Me too. Like at a point. Now, how quick it is, just like I said, it could be 6 months, could be a decade. There's no telling. If you're serious about it though, you can do it. I would probably go with the owner-operator side first before worrying about property.
Yeah.
Because if you're really going to drive a truck and be in a truck, you're going to live in that truck for a while and build up to where you can buy that larger property big enough to have
and put up as much money as you can.
That's it. And while you're living in that truck, live as cheap as you can and stack it to invest in property business, more trucks so that you have employees and grow so that you don't always have to be a driver. And that's the steps I would probably take personally.
All right. And then Matt McDonough says, I should have made you one myself. You know what, brother? We will get other times to see each other. I guarantee it. And if you ever want to send something, you can reach out to Squirt now. We can give you an address. You can just drop a few of them in the mail. Randy, talk about LeakPro, because when I'm here yesterday and I'm listening to all these different people talk about what they're doing, how they're doing it, the companies that are growing faster, that are growing smarter, that are making more money, they specialize in something really unique. And I think LeakPro is the greatest system out there for that.
It is. I had a guy call today. He was just got his equipment in. He's like, hey, how do I turn it on?
Yeah.
I said, oh, well, you just plug in the headphones and squeeze the trigger. He's like, oh, I
should have came to the training.
He goes, I thought some lights were going to come on or something. No. More lights means more things break. No, we don't have any of that. It's simple. It's easy to use. The only adjustment is the volume. Okay, but it is. If you are a plumber out there and you want to stand out from most companies, you're the reason I do what I do. And I tell a lot of guys that. It's like, look, I just want plumbers to be able to find this. I don't have super fancy equipment. It's simple. It's easy to use. Like I said, you push the button and it's on. There's a volume knob. That's it. But, if you want to stand out from other companies in your area, add leak detection. You can be the plumber that other plumbers are calling to come out and find leaks for them. Don't steal their jobs from them, please. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Reason I'm teaching all the plumbers how to do it is so that leak detection guys aren't stealing the jobs from me. Because that's the story I've heard all my life. My whole family's plumbers. Dad's the expert plumber. So, got a little experience with those guys. But uncertainty, that stresses people out. Can I do it? Do I know how? Come spend a couple days with me. You can get rich with leak detection in less than 16 hours of training. Be able to go out here to the slab.
Wait. Randy, say that again.
You can become rich in leak detection with less than 16 hours of training.
Is it not crazy that it takes 8,000 hours to learn to be a plumber, a journeyman plumber, to get the hours in, to get the licensing? But I mean, we've taken apprentices and trained them to do leak detection, just like you're talking about. You've taken salespeople and trained them to do it.
Yeah. Leak
detection is a freaking skill, and getting the right tools, you can set yourself apart from every plumbing company in town.
That's it. And it comes down, guys, it's just a process. What does it take to install a toilet? Every step. I ain't got to tell you. You've said a bunch of them. Leak detection's the same thing. If you go back and work the steps, you will find the leak. That's part of it. Okay. But it makes you stand apart. Like, guess what? Search plumber in your area. You're going to have a list of companies come up. Then search leak detection in your area. See how few companies come up. You could be top of the list. We teach that also.
Yeah, we teach you how to be top of the list.
I build the tools. I teach you how to do it. I even teach you some tricks on how to get found in your area so that you get most of the leak detection calls. Okay. But it's hands-on training. See some people, like I get a lot of calls. Do you have an online training? There's a video on Roger's YouTube that you can go through and watch. It teaches you our process. Now, you watch it. Are you trained? I don't think so.
No.
If you watch through a bunch of videos while you're scrolling through your phone, are you trained? I don't think so. Even if you're focused and paying attention, are you trained? No. You got to get the tool and go out there and put your hands on and use it. I have 130.
Randy, let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched a video and felt 100% confident you could do something? 100%, without a doubt. I mean, unless it was like folding a piece of paper in half.
Well, I was going to say, like, a couple of simple things, sure. I'm a pipe fitter. I can do anything. Sometimes I have to watch that video while I'm doing each step and pause it so that I can do the thing. I've got to be back and forth. I can't just watch it and go, yep, I'm going to go do it. Watch this. Here we go. Sure, some things like tying a tie, maybe, depending on how good that video was.
Yeah, and then I
how clear I can see it. That's it.
Okay, but think about what you just said, tying a tie.
Yeah.
But if I spent 16 hours with you showing you step by step by step, you do it over and over again. You think you can tie that tie blindfolded?
Guaranteed.
Better be able to. And
that's
I love
it. Like
when people come out to the training and we take them out to lunch, we talk to them, how's it going? Like, man, I had no idea that just by going through all these steps and processes, I could tell you exactly where a leak is. And a video's great, but like you said, the guy watched the video. They didn't know how to turn it on. Well, I don't think in the video I need to show you how to turn it on, but when you're in training, it's like, okay, press this button, feel this, rub your finger, listen to that. I look at this, and to me, the thing about the training is the confidence level people walk away with.
It is, because you can't ask that video the exact question in your head and it give you the answer that you actually need to hear. When we're out there and you're running through your 30 to 50 leaks, you're taking that 130,000 square inches and you're going, oh, it's right here, and you're within 12 inches every time when we're done. That's what we teach you. You get to ask every question along the way that helps you. And when you start to feel like you're doing great, I throw a curveball at you and reset that mindset to make you think about some other things that you're going to hear also, because they're not all the same. Every leak is different.
just when you get cocky, we'll change the game on you.
That's it. And like, I have guys, I love it when they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm feeling really good about this. It's like, all right, good. Go in there and give me a minute. Let me turn this other one on. Let me not do some things and then see how walk up to it. It's a lot different. But when you start to learn all the steps and all the parts and pieces, it's like, oh, wait, it all does boil down to those 4 or 5 simple steps. You just have to do it in the right order every time, and you can do it. That's what we do here at LeakPro, guys. If you really want to check out some good leak detection equipment, visit leak.pro. Give me a call, 8888 LeakPro, and let's talk about training. I run really good deals to train you and your whole team to get leak detection added to your. Because, guys, training, it's not a cost. It's risk management. It's stress reduction. It's leadership in action. Don't be scared to invest in knowledge, training, learning how to do things. You spend 8,000 hours getting your license. Come spend 16 and learn how to do leak detection.
No doubt.
That's all.
I want to shout out to Matt McDonough. Says next time you come out, says I have half-inch fittings for you. Says want to talk to us about concerns I have with the different files and printing layouts. Matt, tell me this: do you ever come to Dallas? I'd like to get Matt in and get him on the podcast interview. That would be really good. So, brother, if you're ever interested in coming to Dallas, let me know. It says, it says, do you have people try it before training? And we don't, Matt, because we don't want to send them out with the tool and make them think that they can do it. And then they get out there and they dig a hole in the wrong place. They tunnel under the house in the wrong place. If you don't know how to use a tool, you can tell yourself, oh God, this is working. I'm great at it. And you may be a mile off. So no, we don't do that. He says, go plumbing or Leak Plumbing, Roger Wakefield Plumbing Education. Because look, if you'd like to learn to do YouTube, this is something and it's so funny because I'm walking the trade show floor yesterday and I'm walking up to different vendors. And I'd always ask them, look, do you have YouTube on your phone? They're like, well, yeah. It's like, well, just go to YouTube and search plumbing. Guys, I was the first thing coming up. My channel was like top of the page. And they're like, how do you do this? It's like, we do it well. And they're like, well, no, I see that, but how do you do it? It's like, look, we've done it a long time. We understand how it works, and we're really good at what we do. And, we can be found for leak detection, slab leaks, water filtration. We can be found for a lot of things because we know what we're doing. And if you're out there and you would like to learn how to use YouTube, I made a course. And it's an online video, but it goes through and it teaches you how to get started, what to do, how to do it right, everything from cameras. It teaches you everything. But it starts out with a little webinar where I explain to you that, look, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment to start. You don't have to have tons of followers. You don't have to have tons of viewers. You don't have to be getting tons of views. But you got to start. And no matter what niche, what industry, whatever it is you're in, I mean, if y'all are watching right now, open up another tab on YouTube and search the word plumbing and see what comes up for you. And then think, wow, what word out there would I like to be found for? Because that's what I teach people how to do. And like I said, it starts with the free webinar. If you're interested in it, just go to justmattroger.com, check it out, watch the webinar, and then come back in here and let me know what you think about it. It's great. Right. How we doing?
You're doing good. Say, let's move into all trades here, okay? Because, guys, if there's one silent profit killer, that's across every trade, every region, every company size. Poor communication. I know we don't ever talk about this. I've never heard this in my life. Poor communication. No way, right? It's everywhere, and it truly is. It doesn't matter how big or small your company is. Poor communication kills everything. Most job site problems, they're not caused by a lack of skill. Caused by assumptions. Somebody thought somebody else was handling it. Somebody assumed that the change was obvious. Somebody didn't want to ask a dumb question. I love hearing that from apprentices. Hey, what's a dumb question? A question that you have to ask me that third time. Okay, besides that, there's not really any dumb ones. You ask me once, I'll tell you the answer. Ask me twice, I'm going to tell you the answer, and you better write it down so you never have to ask me that third time. That's all. Verbal communication fails under pressure, though. Job sites are loud. People are rushed. Details get missed. Written communication helps, but only if it's clear, timely, and actually read. Okay, across the U.S., rework caused by miscommunication cost billions with a B every year. That's not exaggerating anything. Small mistakes multiplied thousands of times. Wrong location, wrong size, wrong sequence, wrong expectation. I was an estimator. I had to define the scope very clear to exactly what we were doing, what was included and what was not included. Even. We did not include
Exclusions are the
tying our
biggest
shoes. Okay, we didn't include that. Sorry. And yeah, exclusions are huge. Most dangerous phrase on a job site. I thought you were doing that.
Yeah.
Office to field disconnect makes it worse. That office says, "Oh yeah, we got it." Did you tell the field that? Oh, you didn't? Well, guess what? It never happened then. That's why we're getting back charges, because you in the office, you forgot to tell us about it. Schedules change. Plans get revised. If your guys don't have the most current set of plans in the field, get them a new set, period. Replace all the stuff. You've got to have that updated. And it's easier now. It's all digital. Emails.
And, the thing about communication too is it's not just between office and the field. It's between the superintendent, the foreman, the journeyman, the apprentice. Everybody on the job deserves to be in the communication link. And if you're not keeping them in the link and they're not hearing everything going on, then that's when mistakes happen. And they happen often.
That's it. And communication, it's a skill. Okay. It's not a personality trait. It can be taught, it can be practiced, and improved by every one of us. Clear expectations, written confirmation. Okay. Say it, but also track it. Did you hear this? Like you did that to me on one job site. When the GC would change anything, you gave us bound books for us to go, here, sign, please. I need you to sign that you made me do that change so that you can get priced accordingly later. Any follow-up questions? Document it. None of that slows work down. It prevents, guys. When pressure increases, communication usually degrades really quick. Leaders have to push in the opposite direction intentionally. Slow down the message, even if the job is speeding. Have to clearly communicate everything that happens from the top to the bottom, because that apprentice may be doing all the cleanup, and guess what? We did not put that into our bid. We were excluded from that. Sorry. Oh, I got an extra apprentice for the day? Good. Come on, bud. Let's get to work. Everybody's got to know what's going on. Clear communication.
It's a big deal.
It is.
All right.
Let's see over here. I was gonna say, got some comments. Glad you did the training first. Seen people make some bad decisions with improper training. I'm trying to get out to Lancaster. Know if you have a project list out there.
Come see us, brother.
That'd be good. Yeah, not too far. Work is scared to send me that far away. I bet. They send you all over in your area. Oh, Roger, say that you meet his buddy Bobby Armstrong. Really happy to meet you. Oh.
Yeah, it's great. I've not got to meet so many new people this time. It's really, really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
All right, we're going to jump into laws and licensing. And licensing is one of those topics that only gets attention when something goes wrong. It's when there's a bad job, a lawsuit, an injury. But when licensing is not enforced consistently, the damage spreads really, really quietly. States with weak enforcement create uneven playing fields. Legitimate contractors who invest in training, insurance, and compliance, they end up competing with unlicensed operators who cut corners and undercut pricing. And guys, this isn't fair. It happens every freaking day. What this does is it drives wages down, it erodes trust, it confuses customers who don't know how to tell the difference between qualified and unqualified work. There's also a liability issue that does not get talked about enough, because when unlicensed work fails, it doesn't just hurt the person who did it, it hurts the entire trade, it hurts the customer that hired them, it hurts everything. But what it also does is it fuels stricter regulations, higher insurance costs, and more skepticism from the public, because they talk about a plumber that did them wrong. Well, to be honest, this wasn't even a plumber. But strong enforcement is not about punishment, it's about standards. It's about protecting consumers and protecting the trades professionals. All across the country, enforcement tends to happen in cycles. They'll decide for a month or two, we're going to really force them, and then they wait a year or two until something bad happens. Oversight tightens, overtime, attention fades, and the cycle repeats itself. Contractors who understand that cycle prepare for it instead of being surprised by it. Licensing only works when it's taken seriously, not just by the industry itself, not just by the plumbers and the people in it, but by the regulators. In Texas, that's the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners. And, I've talked to Steve before. I know that they set up bait houses where they go in and try and catch people doing things wrong. There's a lot of problems with unlicensed work. And at the end of the day, guys, it really does. It kills the customer. Because if something goes wrong, the customer's insurance isn't covering it because they didn't hire a licensed professional. And that's a tough way to do it.
That's it. And it is tough, especially for the customers, because what do? They just see the prices. They don't really understand what all's going on, what's happening. They can't license or not. Have to make the awareness higher. That just like you said, when a bad thing happens, we're going to check every license for the next month.
3 weeks.
Well, then after 3 weeks of the month,
they
don't look at another one again. And it's like, well, guess what? A week later, dude lost his license. It went out. Yep, y'all didn't do anything about it because we quit looking. Don't get too light. You put something into place, make it a standard procedure.
All right. We're going to talk about something different here. And I really like this because there was a superintendent that I was on the job with. Man, it impressed me the way he saw it. But this is business training, and it's teaching a foreman to think like the owner of a company. And Randy, I've told you about it before. I walked a job site with Robert Brock one day. Just got on his job site, and we're walking around, and he saw a pile where somebody had swept up a bunch of trash. And he goes over and he picks up 6 or 8 3/8-inch knives. And he sticks them in his pocket. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he said, well, these things are like a nickel a piece. He said, that's like 30 cents. He said, if I do this every day, that money goes to the bottom line of the company. And I'm like, dude, you treat this job like it's yours. He said, I feel like it's mine. He said, I'm responsible for every penny spent on this job. Man, when I was learning to be a superintendent, I always thought about that. But this is one of the biggest transition failures in trades. And it happens all the time because a great technician gets promoted to foreman, and then suddenly he struggles. And it's not because they forgot how to work. It's because the job changed, and nobody taught them how to do it. Foremen are expected to manage time, people, materials, schedules, costs, safety. I tell people all the time, your job once you're a superintendent is to get the job done on time, under budget, and safely. And that covers every one of these things. But it's often without being taught how those things actually affect the business. How do they affect the bottom line? They're asked to run the job without being given the full picture of what running the job really entails. Teaching foremen to think like owners doesn't mean dumping spreadsheets on them. It means helping them understand cause and effect, how delays affect cash flows, how rework affects profit, how communication affects morale, it affects your schedule. Communication or lack of communication can make people not want to show up for work. And when they don't show up for work, there's no productivity. Across the country, companies that invest in foreman training see fewer surprises. The jobs tend to run smoother, issues get surfaced earlier, and accountability improves without turning into micromanagement. Nobody wants to be micromanaged. Nobody wants to be hovered over, but they want you to show them how to do the job right. Foremen are the hinge between leadership and labor. That's the voice talking to labor for leadership. It's the voice talking to leadership for labor. And you've got to be able to communicate with both. And when that hinge isn't working right, everything squeaks. Training foreman is not an option if you want to scale. If you want to scale, this is foundational. It's something you should be doing, God, each and every week, no matter what.
That's it. I can remember my first foreman job at the large company I was at. And I was working directly with the superintendent. He's like, "What? I'm just going to have you on this floor. Think you can handle that?" Yeah, no problem. Like, this is your first time being a foreman, right? For this company, yeah. Well, have you ever dealt with work before? Well, yeah. I mean, I've run some jobs. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. I'm good. And then he's like, "Holy crap, you actually were taught some of these things." I'm like, "Yeah." You know who my dad is?
A
He
pain in
feeds
your tail.
a pain in my tail for sure. But it's like I tell the team all the time. It's like, look, I thought about things different. We were talking about blue collar versus white collar earlier. It's like, look, blue collar worker, because it was saying something about it boils down to smarts more or less. If you're using your mind more, you're more white collar. I'm like, yeah, not quite. Wouldn't say that. Because even the blue collar worker that I was just the installer on jobs, and I'm going, hey boss, these prints are wrong. Oh no, they're not. You better send it up the chain because I know how these systems work, and they're wrong. They were wrong. They had sent out revised drawings 2 weeks later, going, "Oh, here's how you're going to do it now." Yeah, okay, good. I'm going to fix that myself because we knew what was going on.
Yeah.
But you got to teach them to own it. And that was one good thing about working at that big company is they let us make decisions. Like it was our company, it's our job. Guess what? Your butt's on the line for it. Yeah, but we give you control of it, and that's great. Teach your foreman to think from that aspect, like a group.
I'll give a shout out here to Matt McDonough. He says, "Hey, he's like, okay, gentlemen, got to go be a hero. Putting a new stereo in the wife's Denali. Then got to do wire management on my surround sound wires." I love you, brother. It's Wednesday. You're supposed to be working. It's only 2 in the afternoon here. What's up? Why are you sneaking out early?
Yeah.
Matt, be safe, be fun, brother. Be good. It's good to hear from you as always. Wish I could have got together with you.
Speaking of vehicles,
There you go.
roll into vehicle. Fleet decisions that quietly drain profit. Okay, and a lot of us don't think about them too deep. But fleet decisions, they're one of the easiest places for profit to quietly disappear without anybody noticing. Trucks don't just cost money they cost money every single day that they exist. Most owners focus on the purchase price, the fuel cost, because those are your obvious standouts. What gets ignored are the compounding, downtime, poor upfitting, maintenance timing is huge, insurance, and the ripple effect single truck being out of service has on the entire schedule for everything else you've got. Across the country, though, contractors are running vehicles longer than they used to, partly because prices went up and partly because replacement cycles got disrupted. There's nothing wrong with running trucks longer if maintenance is disciplined. The problem is when the maintenance becomes reactive instead of one breakdown turns into a missed job, scheduled customers, overtime work gets thrown in, and then you get frustrated texts. That cost is rarely calculated, but it's very real. Upfitting is another blind spot. Okay, poor layouts, they slow text down. Tools they mainly use aren't accessible. Parts that aren't organized, time wasted hunting for things, compounds across weeks and months. Worse it looks, more time you're wasting on the job throughout the year. Okay. What looks like a minor inconvenience actually becomes a productivity tax that you're paying every. Vehicle condition also affects hiring more than people wanted. Okay. Your crews, they notice. Candidates notice. A truck that feels unsafe or neglected sends a message about how the company operates. Pride in the equipment translates into pride in the work. If you've got a good looking fleet out there, guess what? Guys are happy to drive that. If it's all run down and falling apart, nobody's going to want to hire in to get that piece of crap that you're offering. No offense, but they want to drive around in a nice, clean van just like other companies around town. Plumbers are making the same, but they get to decide where they work. The smartest fleet decisions are made by tracking cost per mile and cost per hour, not just your fuel receipt. When you know what a truck actually cost you to operate, replacement and maintenance decisions become so much clearer. Cheap trucks are often the most expensive ones long term. And guys, vehicles don't generate revenue by themselves. They do enable it. But treating them as strategic assets instead of necessary evils changes how. So definitely put the time in, think about it. We talk about it a lot on here. Do the breakdowns of where you're located, how much driving, how much distance, do you haul a lot of weight, things like this. These all play into the vehicles that you pick for your fleet, but always keep them organized in great order. You've got a lot of the same. You've got 12 plumbing vans. Have the layouts the same in all of them so that when you swap out employees, when one goes down, they can jump in another one and get to work. Nothing gets missed. They know exactly where they're at. They're comfortable with it. It's not a big. Remember that and just think about your fleet because it really does matter and you can save a lot by maintaining proper.
Randy, and the good thing too about laying out all your vehicles the same is if you've got apprentices that go from van to van to van, no matter what plumber they're out with, they can say, hey, run out there and grab me 3 more 3/4 inch 90s. And they know right where they're at because they're in the exact same spot on every single van you've got. And little things like that can speed up so much time out in the field.
This is the final boarding call for Southwest Airlines Flight 749. The service is Chicago.
That's it.
Cunningham.
All right, social media spotlight. Electricians, authority, and algorithms. It says electricians have quietly become the most effective educators on social media next to me. Oh, I'm sorry, it didn't say that, does it?
And me. I mean, come on.
I know. It's not an accident. It says electrical work forces clarity because, and that's part of the reason I never wanted to be an electrician. Is look, people die doing it. Code matters.
I probably watch more electrical videos on YouTube than plumbing because I need them for clarity and stuff. I don't want to screw that up.
Completely.
And luckily I learned plumbing from some great people.
And the thing is about electrical, you can't fake understanding it for very long without getting called out on it. But what sets strong electrician content apart is that it teaches without talking down. It explains why something is dangerous, why code exists, why shortcuts fail. And that builds authority in a way entertainment alone never can. Algorithms reward novelty and speed, but trust is built through consistency and accuracy. Electricians who focus on education tend to attract better opportunities, better customers, better apprentices, and better industry report. And Randy, they keep getting louder here. I'm going to let you finish this up.
But the mistake that many creators make is chasing what the algorithm wants instead of what the audience needs. And something that we do a lot, replace the word algorithm with viewer. Okay, the person that's actually watching, that's what you're trying to help. Like we just said, what the audience needs. Clickbait, it works until it doesn't. It's quickly going to figure out that you're doing a lot of clickbait and it will kill all of your. Authority compounds over time. Do it for 8 years. As plumbing, the first thing anybody searches, you're going to pop up at the top of the page. Educational content doesn't have to be boring, but it does have to be honest. Just like you said, you can't fake it. You're going to get called out really quick. They're going to quit watching. if you're honest, you're putting out good information, they pick up on that and it grows, it gets shared. Schools start to watch it and use it in classrooms. When tradespeople use content to teach instead of flex, it elevates the entire. If your goal is to recruit, educate, or lead, authority matters more than your virality. Views don't fix job sites, understanding does. And the more that you show that, like I tell a lot of people that are talking about getting started on social media, it's like, look, be you, be honest, teach good things, and have a good time doing it. If you can do all those things, you're definitely going to make it on socials for sure. It'll take you a long way. We've pulled up some channels before last year where all they talked about is the exact electrical code. It was very knowledge driven, education driven, so that you understood. I thought it was really cool though, because then I actually understood what those actual codes meant. And it was explained to me like I'm a dummy, because guess what? I don't read a lot of electrical. Just don't. Pipe fitter. Love it. But I've had to learn electrical too.
Look, we talk about Dustin Stelzer over at Electrician U a lot. Man, Dustin's phenomenal. He probably knows code better than any electrician I've ever met, ever talked to. I mean, he lives it, he breathes it, he studies it each and every day, and he makes videos about it. But Dustin is just the coolest person. He's humorous, he's funny, he's great to talk to, he's a great guy. I mean, I consider him a really good friend. And when you talk to people like that and you get to know people like that, and then you watch the videos, it's like, man, this is who he is. This is what he's doing. He's being him. And, you know, the one thing, and look, Randy, you know this, I coach a lot of people on YouTube and different things, different social medias. But one of the big things that I tell people is, look, the one thing that you can do, and you, Randy, and I've told you this before, one thing you can do that I can't do is be you. We can talk about a lot of the same things, but you're going to do it with your personality, with your mindset. You learned it a different way, or you see it a different way, or maybe you took something that I taught you and you met another superintendent that taught you another way, and now you combine it and you've got your own way. I've never said that my way is the only way to do anything. I think that I do things right based on what I was taught, and I think that's what makes me good, and that's why I want to teach other people. But at the end of the day, the one thing anybody out there can do, and I had this conversation with one of the plumbers here the other day. He said, man, when I make videos, I want to be just like you. I said, no, you be just like you. Don't ever try to be like them.
Yep.
And I think that's such a big deal.
It is. And it's like apprentices used to ask me all the time, well, how did you get so good? This journeyman wants me to do this. I know a better way. Look, you want to know how I learned everything I did? I learned everybody's ways. I worked with a bunch of different journeymen. Dad's way, I learned uncle's ways. I learned all the journeymen's ways that I worked with. And I did it the way they wanted it done, period. I didn't bring any of my experience into it except for understanding how to use everything I was doing. But that gave me a menu of choices of how to do things. And I got to go through that and pick my way for every one of them. And that's what I would teach my apprentices, my way of doing it. And that was built up of 100 different people's ways of doing things to create how I do. I always picked the best, easiest way, yes, as much as I could. But sometimes you need that weird, funky way sometimes to get you out of a jam. What I love about socials is you actually get to learn a lot of different people's ways and visions. Like we said at the beginning of the show, what works here in Texas may not work up in the Northeast anywhere. It's going to be a little different. We all know that, but it's great to understand all the different ways of doing it. And we see it a lot traveling and stuff. I love watching videos from overseas in other places, Europe, stuff like that, to see how they do things because it's all different. And it's really cool to learn, just to understand more ways.
I did get asked this weekend if I got views in the UK, or if I had ever thought about going over there and doing videos. And I'm like, dude, I'm up for anything. I love that.
That's it. Always about experiences, man. Like, And some of their mechanical rooms I love. Like, I'd like to go to Germany.
And Randy, let me ask you this, because you talk about learning from a lot of different journeymen. Did you ever learn bad things and learn ways not to do things?
Oh, yes. Oh, tons of them. Sometimes, if you're a smart apprentice, you can do this. You end up throwing an idea out for the journeyman to use as their idea. You just got them to it so that they can come up with that idea, and it's a solution to what they're trying to get done. Because they're trying to take you a bad way. Like, I had a guy that every time he hit a corner, he would double 90. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, the walls are square. Everything is, why do you keep doing this? Oh, that's just, that's how I was taught. Well, I'd hate to know the guy that you worked with and how much wasted money he spent, but here, let me teach you a new way, okay? Because you've got to break that habit. You can't throw 290s at every turn that you ever do. You will lose your butt on jobs.
Yeah.
So explain it and teach them, because we don't all know. And if you're stuck, like, and I know some guys that they worked with the same journeyman for 5 years straight. Guess what? They didn't get to learn any other ways to do anything. They learned one way and that's it. They're going to be just like that journeyman. I hope they were great.
Yeah.
At some things, sure, but not everything, I guarantee it. Well, it's good to learn from others also. Get to see things, because we don't know what we don't know yet. Somebody may show you something new that you've never seen. I still find it all the time.
All right, Randy, talk about best practices.
Man, decision making, okay? And not just decision making, but decision making under pressure. Because pressure changes everything. Decisions that seem simple on paper become heavy. Money, safety, reputations are on the line. Pressure doesn't show up evenly either. It concentrates on the leaders. Puts you in that hot seat real quick. You got to make decisions fast. Wow, great having the authority at the company we were at, because we could do that. But the biggest mistakes that leaders make under pressure, waiting for perfect information. Perfect information never shows up. You can't get all the answers. You're going to get a lot of them, and you're going to have to make a decision before you hear the rest of the answers. Because job sites move. They don't stop. Crews need the direction. Customers need answers. Indecision creates chaos faster than the wrong decision ever. Good decision making under pressure starts with prioritization. Okay? Not everything is equally important, even when it feels that way. Safety comes first, always. After that, clarity. Okay? Crews can work through problems if they know the plan. What they can't work through is silence. If they don't know the problem that y'all are trying to fix, guess what? They're not fixing it. Another failure point is overcorrection. Okay. When something goes wrong, leaders sometimes swing too hard in the opposite direction. New rules, new processes, new expectations, all at once. That overwhelms people and it creates confusion instead of stability. Strong leaders make decisions. They communicate them clearly and adjust deliberately. The only outcomes publicly instead of deflecting blame. They got to own that, period. I've screwed up as a leader before, completely popped stuff the wrong way because I called it the wrong. And it's like, okay, hold on, guys. Here's how we fix this. Everybody on board? I was clear with the plan. Everybody knew exactly what to do. Nobody blamed anyone. Nobody worried about that. It's like, look, I own it. Yep, I screwed up. Here's what we've got to do to fix it. Let's get in action. That builds trust, even when things don't go perfectly. But teaching crews how to respond to change, it's part of the leadership also. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen. ProPress is going to come out. New things are going to come. We're going to start gluing copper. I mean, it's all coming. Change is inevitable. Panic is optional. When leaders stay calm and explain the why behind the decisions, crews follow, no problem. You're the leader. You've got to set them on the right path. But decision making under pressure, it's a skill. You've got to be in that hot seat a few times before you really start to understand how the fire works. It improves with patience, reflection, and feedback. Leaders who never examine their decisions repeat the same mistakes. Leaders who learn from them get better. And that's something that always got to do on a job. If a mistake happens, back up and figure out how it happened and make others. But if there's one thing to take from this segment, guys, it's this. When pressure hits, your habits lead. Build habits that create clarity instead of chaos. Yeah. Get help coaching on that.
Randy, no, and this is really good because you've got to understand, and you made a comment that, a lot of decisions aren't made because people are waiting for the perfect information. Chances are you're never going to get the perfect information. And the longer you leave guys standing around waiting, trying to figure out what needs to be done or how it could be done or anything like that, and it's tough. I was really, really good about, if guys call me and tell me they have a problem, I'd put it on their shoulders. I'd say, look, Randy, you're there in the field right now. How can we fix this? What can we do? You're looking at it. I hadn't even had time to look at it yet. Do you see a solution? And a lot of times that's what it needs, is they need to understand, hey, I'm part of the solution. I'm part of the answer. I'm part of solving the problem. And when you make people feel like that, it can be a really, really good thing. But as the foreman or superintendent, a lot of times, you got to be the one to okay it and say, okay, then let's go. Let's do it. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's wrap this up. We're going to try to bring it all together here too, because everything we talked about today circles back to the same reality. Pressure doesn't create problems. It reveals them. And shrinking backlogs reveal weak margins. Cash flow stress reveals operational gaps. Fatigue reveals unsafe schedules. Poor communication reveals leadership's blind spots. And then weak training reveals itself when people are asked to think instead of just follow steps and procedures. Sometimes you've got to think, and you've got to make a decision based on the things you've learned. Now, none of this is meant to scare anybody. It's meant to sharpen your focus. The trades are still one of the most reliable paths to a solid living and meaningful work, but they demand intention now more than ever. This weekly format exists so these conversations can actually land, so they can actually happen. People can compare notes across states and trades, so lessons don't get lost in all the noise. And if you're watching live, take something from today. Take it back to your crew. Take it back to your business. One thing done well can be enough. It can be a game changer. And if you're watching on the replay, pause it. Take notes. Think about where pressure is showing up for you. That's where the work is. This isn't just a show that you watch. It's a room that you're part of. It's a community that you belong in. Do that. Take notes. Watch it. Explore it. Listen to it. Leave comments. Be part of the community. And if you'll do that, you'll learn, you'll grow, and you'll do better. And if you like doing that, hopefully we'll see you in here next Wednesday. Remember that this video is sponsored by me, Roger Wakefield. I teach people how to do YouTube. If you're interested in learning how to do YouTube, go to justmattroger.com. Check it out. Watch the webinar. It's a free webinar. It's not going to cost you anything, but it's going to give you some information that may help put you on a journey where you're teaching people, you're educating people, you're showing them why you do things, how you do it, and what the reason is behind it. But it's also sponsored by LeakPro. Squirt, tell us a little bit about LeakPro.
And if you want the most accurate leak detection system for professional plumbers, visit leak.pro. Check out the complete kit. Comes with both pieces of equipment I build. That's what I tell everybody. It's going to find the leak no matter where it's at. If it's in the yard or if it's behind concrete, asphalting. Check out the complete kit at leak.pro. And if you don't know how to do leak detection, give me a call because I teach it in less than 2 days. 2-day training. I teach you how to locate the lines, pinpoint locate the leaks under the slab, outside of the slab, even how to do some testing on a sewer system from the clean out to figure out exactly which part of the sewer is leaking. So give me a call at 8888 LeakPro. Be happy to discuss the equipment training.
I love it. It's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you running everything back in the mothership, back at the outhouse, making sure everything runs like it's supposed to run. Guys, remember, whatever you do out there today, do it safe and hit it effing hard.
Yeah, guys, y'all have a great week. Stay focused, stay safe. Hope to see y'all back in here next Wednesday. Let's hang out and have a good time. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.